or just to put food in my little boy's mouth. I ain't got nothing left except the shoes on my feet and the heart in my chest, Lord. Just keep me beating for a couple of days so I can get this paycheck, keep these damn bills paid. They try to say we got it made low.
Hey, good morning, guys. We are back out here today at Coldwater Planting Company in Lambert, Mississippi, actually looking at some soybean trial plots that we put in. Let's see, today is Friday, June the 2nd, so these would have gone in Thursday of last week. All of this is that newly landform stuff that we talked about in the last video. Walking through the check strip right now, everything looks okay. Not a lot of deviation here between the check strip, which is between these two orange flags, if you can see them down there. Then you go over this way a little further, and this is where the liquid carbon and the agri-suit went out. Nothing visually that stands out any differently. We're gonna take a look though. We're gonna get a shovel out here in a second and dig some of these up and see if there's any difference in root mass, anything like that. So just a quick visual look. This is what we dug up out of the soybean trial here. These three right here, let me try to get the shadow off of them. These three right here are the non-treated check, and then these 6 or so are the treated. Really not much visual difference looking at it in the field. Once you get them dug up, one thing you'll see is you've got a little bit deeper roots on the untreated, but your plant height's not quite as tall. And they're looking like they're struggling a little bit more. Could be lack of water. I know it looked like the stuff that was treated with the liquid carbon is holding water a little bit better, so we've got a little bit better water retention. The soil's still moist. It's probably been 14 to 15 days since we've had a good rain over here. None of that's been watered, center pivot, polypipe, anything like that. The other thing I'm seeing here out of this treated side is your stem is just a little bit thicker. Don't know how much that really matters starting off, although I will say that these plants are holding up a little bit better to the drought conditions. Not really droughty, but they're holding up a little bit better to the lack of water. These are certainly struggling a little bit more. As you can see, they're not quite as tall. Their leaves are a little bit lighter in color, so they're not quite as dark. Overall, not a lot of difference right now, but we'll keep a check on it and come back to it later. Everybody, and welcome back. We are down in South Alabama today, actually Baldwin County, right outside of a little town called Alberta. Looking at some corn trial stuff today. Also going to get into a couple other things. I know there's some guys down here trying to finish up planting soybeans and peanuts. There's some oat harvest going on, so hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of everything in this video. But first thing we're going to do is we're out here in a corn, I'd call it a trial plot. It's not really. The guy actually took some of our products and did his whole corn crop with it. So we're going to take a look at these and see what we've kind of got right here. Corn's already starting to tassel. It's looking a little pineapple-y. It looks like we need some water on it. I think the farmer was telling me earlier that it's been about 10-12 days since they've had a rain, so hopefully they'll get something this week. But let's jump out and take a look at this and see what we've got. So at first glance, everything out here looks really good, and I'll turn the camera around and kind of show y'all what I'm looking at here in a second. All of this corn on this farm went out with Monty's 924-3 starter in furrow, which is a 50-50 orthophosphate blend, which we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little while and kind of explain a little bit more in depth the differences in ortho and poly and how those interact within your soil structure and plant nutrient availability and things like that. But 924-3 at 3 gallons to the acre in furrow, 32 ounces or 2 pints of our microhance, which is a micronutrient package, and then another 16 ounces of zinc just to give it a little extra boost getting started out. As you can see here, all of this corn looks pretty daggum good. You can see kind of across the way over here. We'll walk over here and look in a second across this grass runway. That corn's starting to pineapple up a little bit, so it's lacking some water. We're tasseling in most of this, starting to get some ears on it. We'll yank one of these off here in a second and do a kernel count, see how many we got around. We're hoping for 16 plus, but we don't ever know. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This brace root structure on a lot of this corn is just phenomenal looking. I don't think this stuff is going anywhere. If we'll get some rain, it'll get some good water, and then everything will kind of take off. I know the farmer was telling me just a little bit earlier they're fixing to put their last shot of nitrogen out along with their fungicide and another insecticide spraying with the airplane tomorrow. So all right, so we just pulled a ear of corn off one of these plants, just at a count. It's actually looking pretty good. I'll hold it up a little bit closer to the camera here so you can see how full it is. Of course, we know we'll get a little bit of abortion up here along the top probably later in the season once this starts filling out a little bit more. Doesn't look like it's been pollinated yet, so we got to wait a little while longer to be sure what we're going to get. But initial count, I've got 18 kernels around, 44 top to bottom. So that's a pretty good ear of corn starting off. We'll keep a watch on it over the next couple weeks, see how things fill out after pollination, see how much abortion we get. But first glance, we're looking really good. All right, so leaving that field we were just looking at, just flew it with the drone. Everything looks really, really uniform. Nice dark green color. Only thing I can see from the ground is that it needs a little bit of water. We'll take a look right here and I'll kind of show y'all. So y'all can see this down here on the bottom. It's kind of starting to, the leaves are starting to twist up. It's starting to yellow a little bit. This is what I'm talking about when I say corn's starting to pineapple. The leaves start rolling, they start getting nice and pointy. That's just showing that there's a lack of moisture in the soil. Corn crop probably needs a good rain. It'll even itself back out. Those leaves will uncurl and we'll start looking good again. So back in Lambert, Mississippi at Coldwater, just to show y'all, this is all the poly pipe we put out in the last video in this corn, just to show y'all how much of a response this water gives. You can see this corn right here, the where it's not getting any water. You know, water's kind of jumping over this row and going into the next one. Pineappled up pretty bad, not looking great. But man, as soon as you get right here where this stuff is getting water, look at the response it's getting. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think it's probably, they probably got 3/10 of an inch on Sunday, which would have been the, I believe, the 2nd of June. I can go back and look at a calendar and confirm that in a minute. But they got 3/10 of an inch on Sunday. They're probably watering. They'll get 8/10 out of this today if everything's monitored right and they're putting out what they think they are. But I mean, look at what an inch of rain or an inch of water does. Just, you know, pineappled up, looking fantastic. Come over here to check trial plots and these guys bribed me with a free lunch and then put me to work. I thought we were just being friendly and hanging out, but nope, gotta work today.